I'm also running through topics in my head.
Well, here's what I want to ask you about. I want you to, because obviously we've talked about your second place finish, men's over 50, bodybuilding. Is it so? What's the region? How do they break up? I know it was on Cape Cod, and it was what, November?
It was October 15th to be exact.
And so you're basically second. Are you officially ranked yet, or how does that all work out?
Well, as far as the rankings change per year, so again, I'd have to get the same placing and or better to maintain that ranking. But considering it's Massachusetts, you rank the second place, the second best bodybuilder over 50 in Massachusetts, and the third best bodybuilder over 40 in Massachusetts.
Nice.
So, but this year I'm taking it all, so it doesn't matter. I'm taking it all. You can quote me on that. You can write it down. You can tattoo it.
But this is the first. So it's the first time you competed since like you
2003.
were in your 20s. Yeah,
2003.
Well, you were in your 30s. You were 30s. Jesus.
I went 32 to 52 without competing, and came back 20 years later.
But the thing, a lot of the stuff you were telling me is like not shocking, but like it's interesting stuff because like you're saying how you can't sweat after you get your spray tan, like stuff like that.
Yeah. So basically, what they do is they
just break it down like this: how you fast, like start from 72 hours out.
Okay. Well, let me start from 5 days out.
Okay.
That's it's peak week. So peak week starts on Monday. So during that weekend, I've lowered my carbs. I've restricted my sodium. I've doubled my water intake, which people are shocked that I do that. So Monday and Tuesday, I'm drinking up to 2 gallons of water a day. Wednesday, I am down to a half gallon, and then I am down for 20 ounces of water from Thursday morning until Saturday afternoon. My sodium is limited. My food is limited. Not really taking in carbs until depletion time, which is usually 2 days before the show. So basically, during a peak week, you take 3 days of reducing all carbs, all calories, and everything, and then on the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you replenish everything. That's what makes all the muscles full, and usually that's what gets you the championship. It will for me this year.
So what happened now? Explain the spray tan thing, because I didn't know this, and you even said you were surprised.
I was totally unaware, so it threw me off. So traditionally, the night before a show, I like to do a little bit of cardio to push the extra water out. This is my first time doing a spray tan, and I wasn't aware that when they spray tan you, the first thing that they tell you is that you are not allowed to sweat. If you sweat, it'll come off into your clothing, where it'll come off where you sleep, and it'll look uneven. Now they do another session in the morning, kind of like a recover up session, but still, if a lot of it's come off, it's really not a good thing. So unfortunately, once you get the tan, you can't do anything strenuous at all. Anything that causes you to sweat, you cannot do for at least 24 hours. After that, after the show's done, you can take a shower and wash it off and do whatever you want. But during those 24 hours, it's all about that spray tan. And believe me, that spray tan works. Elite Bronson, awesome place. And I'll go to them this year as well, and probably every show that I do after that. But they did a phenomenal job. The staff was awesome. And I will say this is one of the few times I've actually said this out loud, but during the show, I had gone through a couple obstacles. At work, I got injured at work. I ended up with a hernia and a small sciatica pain. Couldn't really work out as hard as I wanted to, but I still did as much as I could. And coming to the show, I was really nervous about it. It was really on my mind. But at the end of the day, I knew that even with the hernia, I try to take positive out of negative. And I knew that even with that, this was the worst the judges would ever see me. And it will be the worst the judges have ever seen me. And on top of that, even heading out to the show, I was really nervous about how I looked. Did I look good enough? How I felt. I didn't feel.
You came in second, so you must have looked pretty good.
I did, but I'm my own worst critic, and I'm very humble. And I know this sounds weird coming from someone who's job is to build their body as perfect as they can make it, but I'll never be happy, only because as soon as you get happy, you get complacent.
Mm.
And as long as I have something to gain or something more to do, I'm going to continue to do it.
So how do you pump yourself up if you're not supposed to sweat or you're supposed to minimize
Well,
sweat?
this is the most difficult part. There is a pump up room in the back. You're allowed to pump up 15 minutes before you go on stage. However, again, you're waking up in the morning, you're trying to drop what little bit of water you have in your system. Usually, I do that with a small cup of black coffee, hot coffee. That usually pushes all the water out. Um, and again, on top of that, right before you go on, you can bring your own weights. So most people bring their own weights or bands. You just give yourself a small little workout. But this is the most important thing that most bodybuilders don't do is you have to practice that pre-stage workout ahead of time. Meaning you go use those same dumbbells you're going to use before the show, and you practice months out ahead of time, so your body knows what level of pump you'll be after using them before you get on the stage. What I did was I actually kind of over pumped and ended up doing a little bit more than I normally did. And granted, I still look good, I still look big, but I lost a little bit of definition and what looked a little blurry due to the fact that I was too pumped up. So I practiced that after. I've learned I do that now. With my posing, I practice at least a half hour every day, every single day. Usually my daughter's watching, telling me what to do, because she's been watching it for years, so she knows what I'm doing right and wrong. Also, my wife helps if she sees I'm not doing something proper. But for the most part, you know, at the end of the day, uh, this year will be different. Like I said, I already know the different what I'm going to do for pumping up. And this year, I plan on looking so full that I won't even need to pump up. My goal this year is to wake up in the morning, get that second set of spray tan, and just hit the stage. I plan on having enough muscle where I won't need to be pumped up like I was last year.
So the guy that I'm assuming you looked at your competition and stuff.
Yes.
So the guy that won, how long has he been doing this? Because like you really only started to get back into it like what 2 years ago, three,
Yeah,
two.
he's been around for a while. He started when he was, I think, the same age as me. He's 57 now. He looked great, you know, and you could tell he put the work in. Um, he is an EMT, so I respect that. The fact that he did that. He also won the Heroes Award, which I didn't know about, which I'll also be entering this year. The Heroes section goes to military and all first responders, so I didn't know about that. So that's another trophy I'll be gunning for this year. But anyways, like I said, he did a fantastic job. He looked nice. He looked lean. His color was good. He posed well. And he'll see me again this year. He'll see me again in October. Fortunately, the results will be different for him, but either way, I even when he won, I shook his hand. We're all about being in good spirits and stuff. And like I said, he had to go through the same ordeal I had to go through: the working out, the dieting, the tanning, and everything. And for us to be able to do that over 50 years old naturally is amazing.
What's the name of the competitions?
It's OCB, organiz-
Yeah, I know. Everyone gets tripped up with acronyms. I was
Organization
literally
of
just
Competitive
talking.
Bodybuilding.
Nice.
Yes, but and
And was this
basically
one in Hyannis?
this was in Mashpee.
Mashpee, yeah.
Yep. At Mashpee High School. Great show. Um, Great turnout. People that came to the show. All the competitors were nice to each other. We're all friendly. That's the one good thing I actually liked about this organization is everybody is positive towards each other. Even those who didn't show up in shape were still getting positive feedback. Something, where everyone left there feeling like they all won. And
Yeah.
that to me, that was most important. And that's what I look for. The judging was fair. The fans were awesome. Big turnout. I actually, for being my first show, I had a group of people in the corner screaming out "Go Big Ron," and that kind of pushed me a little bit more. I have no idea who those people were, and I'll probably never know. But hearing that when I'm doing a back pose definitely made things a lot better. And I will say one more thing. Heading out to the show, like I said, I was concerned about how I felt, how I looked at everything else. Tori from Elite Bronzing. I have to give her all the credit in the world because when I felt like I was at my lowest and I felt like, why am I doing this show? I'm not going to win. And my mind was playing tricks on me. When I went for my morning spray, Mary Beth, the owner, had told me after she gave me that morning spray on my way out, she told me that Tori sent me a message and told me to knock him dead. And from that moment on, not only did that show become a win, but every show I did after that. This year, I'm returning to the same stage. They're going to see a better, bigger version of that same guy, a year older now. And this time, I'm coming for it all.
What are you? One of the best parts about like me learning about this through you, you told me that some of the awards aren't just trophies.
Yeah, yes, they're medals, they're trophies. Some of them are swords.
That was awesome. When I heard that, that's when
Yeah,
I'm like, Jesus.
there's a show in I want to say it's in the Midwest. I'm not sure exactly where, but the winner of that gets a championship belt with an OCB championship belt on it, which is amazing.
Like,
This year at the Cape Cod Natural, last year we just had medals that said Cape Cod Natural showed the lighthouse and the organization's logo. The other one also had the logo. This year, the medals will be a shark.
oh, nice.
Yes.
Well, because
So,
it's 50. What is it? 50 years for Jaws.
yep, yep. So this year's medals are going to have sharks in them. So I plan on grabbing a group of sharks. Um, Might even was actually considering even using the Jaws theme as my posing music. Figure the judges are going to kick out of that. But yeah, so some of them you get swords. I've seen swords, championship belts, shields. Trying to think what else.
The swords thing is just awesome.
Yeah, the sword. I mean, it comes with
like
a holder.
Conan the Barbarian type of stuff.
But
You know what I mean?
It's printed. Everything is on the blade. Who you
nice.
are, the champion, the placing. You could. That's something. You know, some people have swords they just stick in their rums. That sword you could display for everyone because it's something that only 30% of the world has actually ever done is actually compete on a stage where you're 90% naked and oiled up in front of strangers.
You think it's 30%? I think it's 3.
Yeah, probably even that.
It sounds like a Diddy party when you
I was just gonna,
like
I was just gonna say that. I literally was just gonna say that. But like I said, great organization. The integrity of it is great. They drug test everybody, so there are no cheaters involved. If you do try to cheat, they will catch you, and you will go on the wall of shame. You don't want that because that stays forever. You get the wall of shame that they're not taking it down.
Is it literally a wall of shame? Or wow,
it's a whole page dedicated to bodybuilders who tried to beat the test by cheating and got caught.
Nice.
Yep, because you have no right as a person chemically enhanced and doing natural shows. That doesn't make any sense.
I wish they would do that with everything.
And a lot of that has to do with the mentality of the person. You know, that you need to do that to come into a natural. You don't have enough faith in your hard work and genetics that you would have to do something like that to come into a show against people who were just doing it based off the food in their fridge. You know, as opposed to sitting in a corner somewhere, you know, injected and literally like recovering twice as fast, getting bigger twice as fast, getting leaner twice as fast. The natural way is the only way to go, and it's the hardest way, but it reaps the most benefits.
The other thing I love learning about is food prep, portion control, and how you break down. Are you still on the 6 meals a day or 5?
I've cut it down to 5 for right now, but eventually it'll go down to 4. But with each meal that lessens, the increase of protein per meal increases. So if I take out one meal, the difference of those macros are going into those other 5 plates, whether it's 5 ounces of chicken instead of 4, or 2 ounces of chicken, 2 ounces of broccoli, of rice instead of 3, or whatever. So the food prep is something you have to do on a regular basis. I'm picky about my food. I like it as fresh as possible. So you're talking about a guy who cooks on Sunday night for Monday, Monday for Tuesday, Tuesday for Wednesday, so forth and so on. I do prep my meals on Thursday night for the weekends because there's too much going on the weekends to try to do that. But it's an all day thing. It's all day, every day. Weighing food. You have to weigh your food. You have to know how much you're putting in there. You have to know how you know how much protein to consume per meal, how much to consume in a day. It's a constant calculation.
Oh, the other thing you taught me is how much protein there is in broccoli.
Yeah.
Like that was a shocker.
A lot of people
and I thought I knew my numbers
A lot of
Pretty
people
well.
don't pay attention to their foods. But again, when you get into the out of it, and you're literally googling stuff up and looking stuff up and cooking, and getting all the grams of protein in it raw versus cooked, and then raw broccoli versus cooked broccoli, the weight and grams, the difference. It's almost like a chemist.
Yeah.
It kind of like just moving stuff around. And some of the foods, when people see some of the foods I eat, they're shocked the guy this big can eat that small. But when you're eating 5 to 6 times a day, it spreads out. Where most people eat three. Most people eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Where I eat breakfast, in between lunch, in between again, and then dinner.
Well, the other thing I think a lot of people don't realize, like specifically about you, is you work overnights. Like your job does not allow for this to be easy.
No, especially not on sleep. So basically, I'm up at 2. By 2, I'm at work.
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Yep.
I'm at work by 3. Sometimes even earlier if I haven't eaten. As soon as I wake up, the first thing I do, I have a protein shake. Um, Consuming a protein shake 15 minutes upon waking up boosts your testosterone for the day. So I usually have my shake. Within 2 hours later, I might have a small cup of fruit or maybe a small cup of yogurt. If not, I extend to the 3-hour time period. I'll have my next meal. By 9:30, 10 o'clock, I've already gotten 3 of my meals.
A.m.
Out of the 6.
Yeah.
Yes, out of the 6. The only time frame that's different is from the gym, because once I get home from the gym, I eat and then I'll try to take a nap. So that nap is usually 2 to 3 hours. That is where the sixth meal would normally happen, which now it's missed, but I use it for the recovery instead.
So what time do you have your sixth meal?
My final meal is usually around no later than 9:30 if it's based on the family schedule. Get my daughter to bed, cook, because I not only do I prep cook for myself, I also prep cook for the entire family. So while I'm prepping
And
my
dog.
food and my dog,
Wife, daughter, son,
matter of
and
fact, my
dog.
dog is eating prime rib tonight.
Nice.
I'll be doing a video of that because most people haven't had prime rib. My dog eats prime rib and salmon 3 to 4 times a week. He eats better than most people. He eats better than my employees. My employees complain they want to make more money because they want to be able to afford to eat like my dog does. So that's a blessing. And he also pushes me because he's getting muscled up, and he makes me want to get more muscled up. So yeah, so I food prep for the dog, I food prep for the house, I food prep for myself. It's a daily grind. It's worth it. It's good to know that you're putting good quality food in your body. If I'm cooking it, then I know what's going in it. Anything outside of chicken, broccoli, and rice technically is a cheat meal, even though it's not. But if I didn't make it by hand, I consider every meal that I don't make by hand is a cheat meal, even if it's healthy.
No, it's true. It's the way you got to look at it.